retaining specialized talent, I mean, it's without question one of the most critical differentiators in today's economy.
Oh, absolutely. It's what separates the market leaders
Yeah.
from everyone else.
Exactly. And yet, for something so important, so many organizations are just, they're engaged in this wildly expensive reactive exercise.
Hmm.
They wait until an employee actually submits their resignation, the point of no return, and then they start scrambling.
It's the ultimate example of shutting the barn door after the horse has bolted.
Yeah.
By that point, all the costs are already there. You've lost that irreplaceable institutional
With
knowledge.
hit to team morale.
And just the sheer financial cost of finding and training someone new,
Yeah.
it's massive.
Absolutely. So our mission in this deep dive is to explore the smarter route, the preventative strategy.
Right.
We're looking at how organizations can leverage AI and automation, specifically during the offboarding process, to predict flight risk.
And trigger those proactive retention interventions before someone even thinks about leaving.
Exactly. Before they're polishing their resume.
Precisely. We're talking about fundamentally shifting offboarding from this, depressing administrative endpoint
Right.
into a really powerful strategic feedback mechanism.
And to do that, we first need to get what we mean by flight risk, right?
Yes. Flight risk is just the statistical probability that an employee is going to voluntarily leave. Simple as that.
And traditionally, managing that exit the offboarding was just about damage control.
Totally. Securing data, revoking access, getting the laptop back, it was all defensive.
But a poorly managed offboarding, it costs you more than just that one employee.
It does. It can damage your employer brand, create security gaps, and I think most importantly, you lose this crucial piece of data.
So the goal is to convert that exit into a tool.
A retention tool, yeah.
Yeah.
Powered by data we collect not just at the end, but all the way through the employee lifecycle.
Okay, let's unpack this then. How does AI actually take a function like offboarding and turn it into an early warning system? How do these systems calculate that flight risk score?
So the mechanism is really rooted in data triangulation.
Okay.
These systems don't just look at one signal. They pull together dozens of, different data sources to build a comprehensive model.
And you can kind of group these into categories.
We can. We group them into three main categories. And the first one is, I think, maybe the most fascinating: engagement and sentiment analytics.
Okay, this sounds a little intrusive. Are we talking about AI reading every single email I send?
Not necessarily reading the content, no. It's more about analyzing patterns and metadata.
Okay.
Think less Big Brother and more behavioral science at scale.
Right.
The AI is looking for quantifiable signals of disengagement. So, for example, a sharp drop in using collaboration tools.
Or not participating as much in team chats.
Exactly. Or maybe a big increase in email response time. They're just subtle changes in someone's work rhythm.
So if my average response time to internal requests suddenly triples over a month, that's a red flag for the algorithm.
It's a weighted factor, yes. A significant shift in tone can also contribute.
A shift in tone.
Yeah, a move from proactive, collaborative language to something really passive or detached. It's analyzing how you show up, not just what projects you get done.
That's insightful. Okay, so what's the second pillar of data that feeds this thing?
The second pillar is historical turnover data. This is foundational HR stuff, but it's used in a new, predictive way.
So we're talking about tenure.
Tenure, how long someone's been in their role versus with the company, performance reviews, training participation, recent promotions, or, and this is critical, the lack of a promotion.
And how does the AI weigh all that? I mean, does a lack of promotion matter more than, say, a dip in performance?
Well, that's where the machine learning models really earn their keep. They're constantly weighting these factors based on what's happened in the past.
Okay.
So if, over the last 3 years, let's say 80% of your high performers who left had gone more than 36 months without a title or salary bump,
I see where this is going.
the system learns to dramatically increase the flight risk score for anyone with a similar profile hitting that 36-month mark today. It learns the specific drivers of departure for that organization.
And that leads us to the third category, which is the offboarding data itself. This is the refinement loop. Then.
Exactly. This is the crucial missing piece in the old models. The system takes the actual exit data, the reasons people give in surveys, department turnover trends, feedback about managers, and it cycles that info right back into the model.
So every single departure makes the model smarter.
Instantly. It refines the weights on all those other signals.
Wow. So this really shifts HR from fighting fires to proactively managing the climate.
That's it.
What's so fascinating is that the moment of exit, the data from a loss, instantly informs the retention strategy for everyone else.
That's the critical strategic repurposing of offboarding. It stops being just deactivating access
Yeah.
and becomes a continuous high-value data loop. It's about spotting patterns that trigger responses for people who haven't even thought about leaving yet.
Can you walk us through a concrete example of that? Of how the system turns exit data into a preemptive action? Because let's be honest, exit surveys can be unreliable.
That's a great point.
People don't want to burn bridges.
And the AI knows that. It doesn't trust the explicit feedback alone. It's looking for correlations. So if someone leaves and says, better salary, but the AI's data shows they also had 4 manager changes in 2 years, and their collaboration activity dropped 30%.
The algorithm learns to weigh those other factors more heavily.
Exactly. It finds the real driver hidden behind the polite answer.
Okay, that makes the data much more robust. So let's talk about the feedback loops this creates.
Right, so loop 1 is the immediate action trigger. An employee leaves, and their offboarding clearly shows dissatisfaction with, say, career mobility.
Lack of a clear path forward.
Right. The AI immediately flags similar profiles, same tenure, same role level, but who also show low internal application rates. And that triggers a targeted alert.
So it's not waiting for a 6-month review, it's an instant diagnosis.
It is. Then loop 2 is that continuous refinement we just talked about.
The ML hopes.
Yeah, the ML hopes keeping the machine learning system operating efficiently. The departing employees' data, their flight risk score, their feedback, it all becomes fresh input to retrain the models.
Got it.
And the third loop.
Loop 3 is the integrated intervention workflow. So when a key flight risk is identified, a high-value engineer hits a score of 85%, let's say, the system triggers automated but personalized alerts
To their manager or HR.
directly, and it prompts specific actions. Schedule the development conversation, review flexible assignments, prepare a compensation check, all before they start looking outside.
So we're using one person's exit to instantly preserve institutional knowledge across the rest of the team.
You're minimizing the blast radius of that departure. It's a profound shift.
So if we zoom out, what does this all mean for the organization and, maybe more importantly, for the employee?
For the organization, the value is massive. The most quantifiable benefit is just reduced cost.
Preemptive interventions are way cheaper than hiring externally. You cut down on unexpected departures, you preserve knowledge, and you slash recruitment costs.
And on the employee side, this has to fundamentally change the quality of their experience.
It does. When you recognize those early signs of disengagement, someone's frustrated, they feel stuck, and you offer tailored, proactive support, you're showing you care.
It's a culture shift.
It is. It shifts the culture from passive management to proactive development. And even if someone does leave, a managed, respectful exit strengthens your employer brand. You get alumni networks, referrals.
It all feeds back into the system.
Exactly.
Okay, this sounds like the ideal state. But for organizations listening, how do they get from, a chaotic offboarding process to this integrated predictive system? What are the practical steps?
Well, the first step is purely foundational. You have to map the entire employee lifecycle and centralize your data.
So identify all the data sources.
From the onboarding survey to daily collaboration logs to the final exit interview, this often means integrating different HR systems that haven't talked to each other before.
You have to get your data house in order before the AI can move in.
Precisely. Second, build those predictive indicators. You need to work with data scientists to model what actually predicts flight risk in your specific organization.
Looking for those verifiable signals.
Right. Training participation, manager changes, departmental transfer rates, stuff like that.
And then comes the heavy lifting, the integration itself.
Step 3, integrate the systems. You have to build the connectors that ensure exit data feeds instantly into the model, and critically, that the model can trigger those alerts for other employees.
Right, that's the key.
And that requires a robust data architecture.
And finally, the human part of the machine.
Step 4 is designing those intervention workflows. When the AI flags someone, you can't just send an automated email. You need structured, tailored retention plans ready to go. Specific mentoring, designed career talks, flexible assignments, whatever fits the predicted reason for their risk, the action has to be immediate and personal.
That seems like a massive undertaking. And here's where we should probably dig into the hurdles. The benefits are clear, but what are the challenges that can derail this?
The biggest initial hurdle, hands down, is data quality and integration.
Garbage in, garbage out.
Absolutely. Predictive models are useless if the data is inconsistent or siloed. If your performance system is on one server and your collaboration data is on another and they don't sync up, the scores will be unreliable.
And if the scores are unreliable, you get a ton of false positives, and managers just start ignoring the alerts.
Exactly. Trust in the system erodes so quickly. And that leads directly to the second massive challenge, which is the balance between human and machine.
Right.
AI can flag the risk, but you need human judgment and empathy for a successful intervention.
Yeah, if the AI tells a manager, Jane Smith is 90% likely to leave, give her a raise, and the manager just walks up and says, the computer says you're going to quit, here's some money.
It's going to fail spectacularly.
It's cold, it's transactional.
It's alarming for the employee. The intervention has to be framed as a genuine investment in their career, not a panicked reaction to an alarm bell.
So use automation for scale, but individual care for execution.
That's the mantra. And finally, there's a prerequisite a lot of companies miss.
Which is?
You have to have a structured offboarding process to begin with. Many organizations still treat it like a fragmented checklist scattered across IT, HR, and finance.
So the inputs are chaotic.
The outputs will be meaningless. You have to automate the core process first before you can leverage its feedback value.
So the challenge isn't just about adding AI, it's using AI as a catalyst to finally integrate the entire employee lifecycle.
And to build a more human-centric culture around that data.
That combination of scale and personal touch is what drives real retention.
It is.
So we started with this problem of organizations just waiting far too long to act. We've shown how AI and automation can repurpose the moment of offboarding, that final data point, and turn it into a strategic trigger for proactive retention.
And in an age where preserving high performers really defines your competitive advantage, the ability to anticipate and preemptively stabilize your talent. It's moving from a luxury to a baseline requirement.
It's essential.
If you connect this to the bigger picture, the entire employee lifecycle is now becoming predictively managed. We're shifting from historical reporting to immediate data-driven action.
Which leaves us with a final provocative question for you to think about. If organizations become highly effective at predicting almost every voluntary departure, and they can successfully intervene before an employee is even consciously planning their exit, what does that level of data-driven anticipation mean for the future of career pathing and for employee autonomy? Something to think about as you review the strategic value of your own data streams.